Essentially, OKEFENOKEE Swamp is a very shallow lake full of interesting birds, interesting plants, lots of amphibians, reptiles, lots of alligators. It kind of looks like the Serengeti, except it's wet.
We have people that want to do the overnight canoe trips. Some want to come on the new moon when they can see all the stars, and some want to come for the full moon to see it.
The music really tied me into the environment of Southeast Georgia. It really set the mood and captured that lively, living movement of the land. The cinematography, from sweeping land shots to close-up glimpses of wildlife and the textures, captured the swamp vibrancy, as how they described it, the lung of the area. It always seemed to be breathing and moving. The connection to the land from the locals and their spiritual and emotional connection just leapt through the screen. And I think that was a really vital piece that they captured, to make that concern about climate change influence on the sacred spot that much more impactful. So overall, I loved getting to be immersed in this environment, getting to meet the locals, get that real vibe of being there. And I cared about its longevity.
The educational aspect that we went through with the verite scene in the swamp, where the person was sort of telling us about the alligators and kind of how they're both prey and predator. I think that was very valuable information because that's not usually something we associate with them, and to kind of see as a verite scene what they do for them and with them, and how actually valuable they are, and they're not something that should be overlooked. I think that was a great shot. It was a very powerful scene for me where the lady speaks about religion and God, and there is it cuts to shot of the forest and sort of the sun kind of going through and shining through. I think that was very powerful because it really enhanced what she was talking about. I enjoyed the theme, sort of the environmental conservation. I think, again, that's an important theme, and I think it really did well to sort of find a place, a niche in this world, or in the States, and kind of focus in on that to enhance that.
You know, one thing the film manages to do is convey the depth and the scope of the ecosystem of the Okefenokee, and just how interconnected everything is and how vast it is. You know, the film is filled with tons of interesting characters and people, yet you always have the sense that the nature and the setting really is the main character. You know, it's said at one point in the film, we have a wonderful opportunity here to not make mistakes. I really love that idea. I thought the alligator scene was very powerful. You know, the film does a great job of conveying that the Okefenokee is a microcosm for the larger issue of climate change.
I loved just how much attention, was paid to the landscape, obviously, that they were talking about, but just, not only could you, feel how alive it was from the way that people were talking about it, but also, from the images that they got of the landscape. There was always, whether if it was, the plant life or the animals, or it truly was, constantly moving and changing and just had this life to it, like everybody was saying. I thought the balance between the interviews and the landscape itself was really great. And yeah, like I said, I just love the overarching theme of, this land of Okefenokee being alive and kind of having this personality and the spirit of its own. It was just really interesting and exciting to, hear people talk about it who are just so, captivated by it and, who just absolutely love it. And throughout the film as well, everything just felt so grounded and so honest, which just made it really compelling to watch.
It was clear that everybody that they brought in to do interviews or that were a part of this project was really, really passionate about this swampland and this ecosystem and the even larger ramifications of what messing with this would do. It was well researched and had a lot of great information as well, and it wasn't just about one particular thing. They brought up climate change, which has obviously affected things. They brought up what mining parts of the natural resources and things like that would do, and how it's affected other states because of how large this area really is. They brought up the Everglades and what messing with that however many years ago, what they're now trying to restore and what they're now trying to kind of go back and correct from, like I said, like decades ago. They brought up different ecosystems and different animals and different things that specifically live in this area and live in this climate, live in this ecosystem. So it wasn't just one thing that they were teaching and that you were learning about. It was all these different aspects.
I think it's given me an appreciation for alligators in a new way that I haven't had before. I'm very much used to raccoons and skunks and just kind of and even hearing like different stories about coyotes and how they're coming into more urban areas and the issues that they're causing, and hearing the explanation about alligators and their benefit to the ecosystem and how whatever problems there might be with alligators and humans might be human caused, I find is really interesting, and just generally exploring the concept of a keystone species. Really informative, really interesting documentary. I definitely recommend it. Also really great footage too of the nature, the landscape, and the alligators swimming. Was also a treat to watch.
You know, I love me some good nature shots, and this had plenty of nature shots for me to admire. But I really liked how it really broke down the problem and like from all angles and everything. So you know, I always say the strength of a documentary rise and dies on the subject matter, and this had really interesting subject matter as far as like the swamp and the alligators and all of how all of that works, and it broke down the all like the intricacies. So I came away with a deeper understanding, and I think that's what all you can hope for in a documentary like this.